Hello, everybody. My name is Cándida González. My pronouns are they, them. I am a consultant with Forecast Public Art. I'm coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Thank you so much for being here. We are very excited to be here with you and for our grantees to share their work with you. I'm going to share a little bit about Forecast and then we're going to jump in. So Forecast is a nonprofit organization started in 1978 by artists who are interested in working in public space. This grew from working project to project to helping others work with artists. You can see our mission on the screen here. All the work that we do is through this lens. Our mission helps us make the decisions and focus our work. We also align our work with our values. We believe in the just distribution of wealth, opportunity, and privilege. We believe in aligning with others, fighting for equity, justice, and human dignity. We believe in environmentally and culturally sustainable policies and practices. We believe in relationships of mutual investment between communities, sectors, disciplines, and professions. We believe in inclusive practices that invite and honor the full expression of people and place. And we believe that creating an equitable future requires bold imagination. We do three main things at Forecast. The first is that we support artists who want to work in public space. We offer grants to artists based in the geopolitical boundaries of the state of Minnesota and the Native nations that shared the same geography to either do a public art project or for professional development or research and development. This is the only grant program of its kind in this country, and it gives us the opportunity to hear from both sides of the public art equation what is of interest to commissioning agencies and artists so that we can work to bring these together. All of our artists presenting their work tonight were grantees in the program last year. We also offer workshops and trainings for both artists and those commissioning artworks to help them understand best practices and how to shape their work. Our longest running training is called Making It Public, and that's actually a program that I facilitate for Forecast. This is very practical, tactical workshop for both artists and arts admins to help them understand how to shift their practice, where to find funding, how to develop and respond to RFQs, what insurance is and how to get it, and more. The second thing we do is partner and consult on public art and creative projects. We get asked all the time to help people find and hire artists, so we provide technical assistance and support in facilitating equitable selection processes. We offer technical assistance to both public and private partners, universities, libraries, DOTs, cities, counties, and more, to help them commission artwork, develop public art plans, and help them engage community members in the process. Finally, we build local capacity, gather stories, and share research. We do this through our digital publication Forward and our Change Lab. Both of these provide a platform for critical discourse and exchange among artists, curators, and other arts professionals, emphasize how artists can affect change within other sectors, and work to challenge the status quo in public art across the country in order to advance more equitable policies and practices. Our publication Forward is a digital platform where we share how artists can affect change across sectors. We have issues about artists and transportation, artists and community well-being, and more. Our latest issues is about monuments and memorials. All of these issues are free and on our website. Our Change Lab is where we look at public art across the country and work to challenge the status quo. Many public art programs have been around for many years and have outdated policies or could utilize an infusion of equity. We work with research fellows to understand the status of public art so that we can build a collective policy platform that can affect change across the country. Our team works in communities across the country and the globe. These are the US locations where we have been on the ground, meeting with stakeholders and partnering with communities to meet their public art and engagement needs. We have an awesome network of consultants and partners we work with across the country. Our team members all bring different skills and perspectives to the work, and we bring people in and out of projects based on what is needed. We'd like to thank our funders, the Jerome and McKnight Foundations, for being longtime funders of these grants. We are so excited to present three of our 2024 grantees, Hibaaq Ibrahim, Thomasina TopBear, and Tara Fahey. So I'm going to stop sharing here. And let's jump in with our first artist, Hibaaq Ibrahim. Hibaaq received a 2024 Early Career Project grantee. That didn't make sense. Hibaaq is a 2024 Early Career Project grantee. She is a muralist and designer living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Her work focuses on the intersection of the natural world and human design. Hibaaq is inspired by the bold colors in nature and architectural structures. She uses large-scale murals to place the viewer into an intentional setting, mimicking the way nature and human-made landscapes surround us. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Hibaaq.
Yeah, so I haven't talked much in the last couple hours, so my voice is a little rusty. So the project that I did for this forecast grant, I would like to think about as like a woodscape. So it's like a landscape, but wood. So my point was to take reclaimed wood that would otherwise end up in a landfill, and use it to make a mural. And so I haven't quite finished this project yet. I'm in the process of it right now. So the process was that I contacted local wood shops and got their scraps, and sort of figured out what they weren't going to use anymore, and that would, like I said, end up in a landfill, and create a mural that is based in nature. All of my work is based in nature and architecture, kind of like I said, at the intersection of it. So how architecture is influenced by nature, that's something that I'm super interested in. My mother studied botany when she was in college, and so I've kind of gotten a love of plants and animals through that, from her, and it's like my connection to my family, because a lot of my family are natural healers, and they focus on how to use plants for healing. Let me see if I can share my screen. And I'll show you. This is just like a vision board. This is something I tend to make personally for projects. So this is talking about what I wanted from this project. So Fireweed Woodshop is the community woodshop that I am doing the mural for. And I will be doing that in the springtime of 2025. And one thing that I'm super influenced by is George Morrison, the artist who would take wood from, he would go down to riverbanks and things like that, and he would just collect reclaimed wood, and he's made the most beautiful art pieces. We have a couple of really big sculptures by him in downtown Minneapolis, which is awesome. And I've been inspired by him since I was probably 20. So I'm 30 now. So 10 years I've been following this artist, and just have been super fascinated with how he's taken something that is kind of trash. And you can see this mood board is very loose. It's like, make beautiful art from trash. So stuff that people would normally just throw away. I want to make art from. And I do commercial art. So I do a lot of landscape and botanical art for commercial settings. And I wanted to do something that was a personal project, which is why I applied for this grant. I don't often get time to do personal projects. So I'm really excited about this. And then you can see the quote that's the EPA estimates that 30 million tons of wood are wasted in the United States each year. That's something that kind of sits really heavy with me, because it's something that we took from nature and then are throwing away and putting in a landfill. And that just makes me really sad. And so I wanted to do something with that and take these scraps that, like I said, would otherwise be thrown away, and create something beautiful that's long lasting and should theoretically last for a very long time, until, this building is gone one day. And so you can see a couple of sketches I've done. These bugs that you see are local beetles. They're just done in my style. And so these are sketches for the mural that I'm going to do. I'm going to do these kind of large scale, about 3 to 4 foot each of them. And yeah, that's kind of the overview of the project. So I'm going to let you ask some questions now.
So we're actually going to wait till the end after you guys have all introduced yourself, and then we'll move to questions.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I can speak to a little bit more of the process that I went through. So my initial plan, this is something that I've been thinking about for the better part of about 5 years, of how do I take essentially what's deemed trash and make art out of it. And so I've always been someone who is kind of a collector, a hoarder, some would say, and I just have a bunch of things that people would not really deem useful. And I've always loved to draw on random things, whether it be like just really random scraps of plastic or paper. I've done some art pieces on like fan blades that were in the trash. And so what I did for this project is I contacted a bunch of local wood shops and went to go talk to them about what they're working on, and just kind of connected with them and saw, what pieces of wood do you have that you're not going to use? And so I collected probably a couple thousand pieces of scrap wood that I plan to break down, and turn into kind of like a mosaic in terms of wood for what I'm going to do for the projects. And they're all, each element, like I said, is about 3 or 4 feet, 3 by 4 feet. And it's going to be either local flora or fauna or something that is connected to Minnesota in some way, whether that be what's in the environment here around Fireweed Woodshop, or kind of just like experiences that I've had growing up. So my process for art has always been going around and taking pictures of things that I find interesting. Those things are almost always plants or buildings. And so I'm gonna create something that merges the two. Yeah, and like my project goals were to keep waste out of landfills. So creating art that the purpose is to keep things that were meant for trash, and putting them into something that will last hopefully for a very long time, making something pretty for my community. So one thing that I really strive for in my art practice is to make things that are inspiring and just beautiful for people to look at, and then involve youth in the process. And so I was a youth worker for about 8 years. And so I'm in contact with a couple of the kids that are now adults pretty much, who are interested in art. And so I'm going to involve a couple of youth in the process and teach them how to do murals, which is one thing that I think a lot of people, you can't really learn that in school. And that's one thing I'm super passionate about, is teaching how I got to where I am. And so I'm going to take on a couple of kids as kind of like apprentices, which is something I've been doing for years. I worked for the Walker Art Center. I worked for the public libraries for 8 years. And so teaching the next generation of young people how to be professional artists is something I'm really passionate about, and that I incorporated into this project. Yeah, and so I have one specific young person that I've worked with for years who is now in college, who wants to be a professional artist. And so I'm taking him on for the project and teaching him how to do basically start to finish. Yeah. You'll have to forgive me. I have not done an artist talk, so I'm not sure that I have a whole 15 minutes of things to talk
No,
about.
no, this is if you are ready to pass on, that's okay because we do have such a tight time tonight. And I just want to remind our attendees that if you have questions for Hibaaq, you can go ahead and drop them in the Q&A right now. And I'll be looking at those questions after all three of the artists have introduced themselves. So thank you, Hibaaq. You can go ahead and stop sharing your screen. Uh, Next up is Thomasina TopBear. So Thomasina received a 2024 Mid-Career Project Grant. She is a self-taught artist and organizer from the Ogallala, Lakota, and Santee Dakota Nations, specializing in large-scale murals along with organizing a number of events focusing on creating safe spaces for youth and fellow artists to practice their crafts. Her work can be found throughout the country. She draws influences from her Ohocheti Shakotay culture while using art to express thoughts on community, social justice, spirituality, and togetherness. Thomasina has worked with numerous institutes and organizations throughout the Twin Cities. She's a member of the International All-Female Paint Crew, Few and Far Women, and co-founder of City Mischief Murals, an all BIPOC artist collective centered on healing through art. She's also my studio mate, and just a great artist, I think. So welcome, Tommy. Go ahead and share your project with us.
Mohammed Yapi. Um, Hello, everyone. My name is Thomasina TopBear. Thank you so much, Cándida, for the wonderful introduction. I'm going to share my screen. So I have a slideshow that I created for actually a project with Cándida a few years ago down in Arizona. So let's see. Let me see if I do this right. Okay. And then can everyone, one
We
second.
cannot see your screen yet.
Okay, 1 second. Let's see it. Screen box. Okay, I'm gonna try it one more time. Share screen. Boop. Okay.
There we go.
Awesome. Okay,
Well,
perfect.
yes, now we can see it.
Awesome. Okay, so because we are on a short time, I'm just gonna kind of breeze through all this. Um, so my main medium is doing large scale murals and community projects. And for the forecast grant, I did that for traditional connections. It's a graffiti jam, but we'll get to that. So as Cándida stated, I helped start City Mischief. It's an artist collective here in the Twin Cities. So a lot of my murals are created with that collective. And so it's like a loose paint company. And so now I've been branching out and kind of just doing like more solo work. And please bear with me. I always say that I do visual art for a reason, and public speaking is not like my main medium or forte. So City Mischief is an artist collective. Our mission is to produce murals with a focus on healing through art and creative projects with a primary focus on leadership opportunities for youth and fellow community members in the Twin Cities. And so what we do as well as we do a lot of community engagement. And so that's working with different neighborhoods and communities to create these projects. I really, truly believe that as a public artist, it's kind of like our responsibility to then go out and engage people and create things that everyone's going to enjoy. I think that there's different kinds of art, but that's just the kind of medium I went into. And so right here is a collaborative project. So City Mischief often works with other organizations and groups. So this one was created with Creatives After Curfew and with the Victoria Theatre for Arts in Frogtown. And so I think we had over 13 different artists come and paint on this wall. And Hibaaq, I believe that you are right there next to Gino as well. And so, yeah, this was years ago. And so this came from inspiration of, I'm not sure if folks remember the old intermediate arts in Minneapolis, but it was a place where people could come and practice and do graffiti and paint. And then also during this time was after the uprising and the murder of George Floyd. And so a lot of folks were going out and painting those plywood boards. And so those were disappearing, but I felt like we needed a place that was more permanent to have these messages on. And so the Frogtown Neighborhood Association found us this wall. And so this space right here, the mural is still up, and there's like an empty lot that the neighborhood uses for different kind of events, social gatherings. So I was really proud of that and the work that all the artists did on this wall. And so as we keep moving, I'll touch base about Few and Far. So Few and Far is an all femme identifying graffiti and street art crew and skateboarding as well. We have members now all over the world. I've been a member for about 12 years now, and we'll be celebrating our 14th year anniversary. And so what we do is we paint large scale murals throughout the US. And we meet up a few times a year to do projects like that. This year, we're going to be taking a break from celebrating and doing a big mural, and we're actually going to Puerto Rico, just kind of for the first time, just to relax as a group. So I'm very excited about that. And you can find more information about Few and Far on our Instagram, which is Few and Far Women. And we also have a website. So this mural down here. So my background is actually, I started doing graffiti when I was 14. So I've been painting with spray paint, which is my main medium, for a very, very long time. And I transitioned into to public art and muraling, I would say about 7 years ago. And that was because I also have a background in social works and and street outreach. And so that was I did that for many years. And then I kind of got burnt out on that kind of field. And so, but I wanted to keep giving back to my community. And so public art was kind of like the best solution to prevent burnout and kind of to give me a sustainable way to give back to my community. And so, and I thank for graffiti for that, because that really kind of set me on my path that I'm on today, which comes down to traditional connections, which is where I put the forecast grant towards. They helped fund our 5th year last year. And so I run a Native-centered graffiti jam on the east side of St. Paul in collaboration with Indigenous Roots Cultural Arts Center. And so what we do is we paint the same walls, and we're kind of like slowly branching out, but we kind of like it to redo everything every year. It kind of gives it like a cleansing space. Indigenous Roots started a sculpture park over there on the east side. You guys should check it out. But yeah, so I curate all the walls over there, and we'll be doing our 6th year, and we're gonna be focusing more on women this year. So Few and Far is going to be coming out and painting with us, and I'm super excited about that. And that's always in the 2nd week of August. So during this time, and why I do this graffiti jam is because I feel like there's a lot of artists within the graffiti community that don't know how to access resources or know how to navigate public art. And so this is a time where we all get together and we spend time together and we learn from each other, we grow. And this is also where the community can come out and visit and realize that a lot of people that do graffiti are like your neighbors, your brothers, your cousins, your sisters. Yeah, and they're just going out and doing art. And I really do believe that graffiti um, is an art form for the people. And it's like, it offers like this sense of freedom that I really appreciate. So I think that graffiti writers are often unrecognized and not given um, not given enough value and credit for what they bring to our communities. And so yeah, we'll be doing it again this year. So I invite the community to come out and visit with us. And it's a 2 to 3 day festival, and we always do a gallery show. So that's really nice. And then, so to keep it rolling, this is a project I did over in Northeast for Bob's Bookstore. And I, for some reason, thought it was a good idea to try to paint an entire mural during Art World in like a 3 day period. And so I kind of got burnt out. But luckily, I have so many friends and that also paint and or want to learn how to paint or do murals. And so we had a bunch of people come out and try out spray painting, learn different tools and techniques, and yeah, visit with the community. And so this is kind of like any project that you do. I really feel like the more people you can bring in that want to join, it creates a type of environment, and it's good for everyone. So I really do think that all of my projects do turn into community projects, and I think that it's just as simple as just asking someone, "Hey, do you want to paint?" or saying yes to people when they ask. And so touching base on healing through art and what that means to me. Um, Art is so therapeutic, and I really do believe it's medicine. I think that art is a way of life for many people, for all people actually. And there's an artist and that I think it's Keith Braveheart. I saw this quote from, and it really is like there's no word for art in Lakota. That's because it is just a way of life. There's like words that like describe an action, but there's no word for art. And I think that uh, sometimes people don't get the opportunity to practice art because they're, in the society we live in, because, you have to pay your bills and you have to work. And people often forget that when you slow down and you do create something like that heals something special in you. And so I hope that more people get the opportunity to experience painting or whatever kind of art or creating something that means something to them or try. And nobody ever starts out good. So I just want to put that out there, and it just takes practice. But yeah, so then we'll move on. And thank you so much for bearing with me, everyone. So a lot of my projects are kind of like do-it-yourself projects. And so I use material that is left over from, say, a bigger project or donated material to create murals for folks that like maybe don't have the funding for it, but it is a good and it's a good reason to do it. This one was done at Center School on Bloomington and 24th for this all native high school over there. And, they didn't have the funds for a mural, but we had all the paint and we had people that wanted to paint. And so we did this Protect Our Sisters. It's a missing and murdered Indigenous women mural. On the left side are 2 students actually that went missing and were murdered from that school. And they were having trouble with predators sitting outside of that school for waiting for the young girls to come out. And so this mural specifically was just to make the whole neighborhood aware that these are students here and these are young women. And it's our job as a community to make sure that we're looking out for them. And so it's kind of like if there's a reason to do a mural, that's really good. There's always a way to do it. And so yeah, it's a do it yourself. So if you see that something that needs to get done, like maybe try to figure out a way to do it. Um, and it looks like I have about 3 minutes, so I'm just gonna keep rolling. So I have this on this slide, the Uchimaka mural for chromosome. Um, and the reason why I have this up there and the language up top in two different ways, two different orthographies is because I'm actually not like a huge fan of this mural because of the orthography I used. It's just plain English. Now we have like the new standard Dakota orthography, which is what I use in most of my murals now. Um, and so even if you don't like a mural, like you don't have to repaint it, you just keep doing it, right? And so one day I'm gonna recreate this piece somewhere and probably use the orthography on the right. And that's the great thing about graffiti that it taught me too, is like there's no need to like fret or like, I don't know, worry about something that you don't like, because you can always make a chance to redo it. I might be going off a little off topic here. So let's see. This one, I use a lot of language in my pieces because I think that we're living on Dakota land. And I think it's important that we see Dakota language everywhere and that we use it every single day. And not even like if you're learning like Spanish or German or French in schools, I think that it's important that hopefully one day they'll teach Dakota in schools here, or so that way it's for everyone. Let's see, Babe Walls and Standing Rock. So a few years ago, I was invited by Babe Walls to go out and paint with a youngster out there in 4/8. And so she was able to pick up spray paint within a few days, which was amazing. And so a lot of what I do is I travel around and I teach, and I do that locally as well. And then so some of my work is community engagement. Most of it is actually. And so this was a job that I did for Comcast, and it ended up in Minneoshki, a building that is run by Andeyang, a Native organization. And so Comcast wanted a way to give to that community, and so we were able to do this workshop separate from the youth there. And so the Comcast employees painted the polytab. And I'm a little bit over schedule, but they painted the polytab individual pieces, and then we pieced it together and repainted it. And I already touched on Dakota language, so I'll skip that. And then, so some things that I've learned and still learning, creating and maintaining community takes a lot of work. It's both tender and tough. It requires give and take, mutual concessions and compromises. What comes from that hard work can be something very beautiful, completely worth the effort and emotions and labor put in. So thank you so much for bearing with me. Oh, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. Oh no. Stop share. You guys just went on a tour of my computer.
And a quick shot of a Pokemon there. I loved that. Thank you so much, Tommy. And again, I want to remind everybody in the audience, if questions came up for Tommy while you were listening, please go ahead now and throw them in the Q&A.
Oh, that Pokemon, by the way, is like, it's in my meeting right now, so.
I love it. I love it. All right. Thank you, Tommy. We're going to go ahead to our third artist of the night, Tara Fahey. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Sorry, I did not check with you earlier. All right, so Tara received a 2024 Mid-Career Project Grant and is an artist, teacher, and stilt performer. Branches of their art expression include silkscreen, costume design, puppetry, paper cuts, lanterns, natural dyeing, and textile modification. In 2019, through a grant for Puppet Lab from the Jerome Foundation, they designed and created a toy theater and immersive spectacle highlighting Rachel Carson, talented writer, marine biologist, and environmental protector. In 2022, utilizing large-scale paper cuts, Tara co-created Micro Macro, a 16-panel visual ode to Minnesota freshwater ecosystems in Minnesota for Arts and Rec. In spring of 2023, they attended an art residency in Oaxaca, Mexico through the Architopia Foundation, growing their knowledge of natural dye pigments for use in silk screening. Along with a small cohort of artists throughout 2023 into 2024, Tara completed a year-long 500 square foot expansion of the illuminated reef for Can Wonderland fabricated from recycled materials. So welcome, Tara. I'm going to run Tara's slides for them. When you're ready, let me know and I can pull them up.
All right, thank you so much. Well, I started kind of from a beginning part of when I had started doing public art, and I guess that story starts for me with bare bones. A lot of my work in the beginning, because I was a parent at the time, and I am still a parent, but also due to different kinds of complications with some of my kids' health issues, then I was just, trying to do something that I could work alongside with my children being there at the time. And so that was kind of a high priority for me. And so that's kind of how the art began. So the work with Bare Bones it's a community arts organization, and it's really open to all ages. And so it's a very participatory and hands-on. And so that began, I feel like, my work as a public artist to some extent. And through that participation over numerous years, eventually that flowered into becoming an artist there as like a paid artist on staff, making puppets. Most of the work for Bare Bones is spectacle art, and so and it's sort of unique in the sense that in spectacle art, a lot of times that would be maybe during the day, but this particular event is in the evening. It's around Samhain, or also in October, the end of October. And so it's at night. And so through the work that I was doing, at some point, uh, I got I became really excited about lantern work. And so that was how I began working with lanterns, was through Bare Bones. So that work ended up kind of, I guess, through my own independent continued work, flowering into work for Northern Spark. That was my first kind of collaborative public art experience outside of Bare Bones, and with a number of other artists. That work created the Illuminated Reef. That was in 2016. I think there's a couple pictures of that, the slides.
Yeah, do you want me to start sharing your slides
Sure,
now?
that would be great.
Okay.
So, and that was a all-night spectacle. It was at the right on. It was at a gorgeous location that is right on the Mississippi River, right adjacent to the Stone Arch Bridge, and it was an all-night festival. I worked with a lot of different people, but my main focus for this project was making lanterns. And so this project was about the topic for that year was about global warming, and in particular, we were looking at how oceans are affected, and in particular, coral reefs. And so we focused on coral reefs, and we were looking at coral reefs and doing research around that, and especially around bleached effects, like how there are these zones that end up dying in coral reefs. And so a lot of this is very colorful. It was very interactive. People could come just like a library and check out a lantern. But there was a section of the all this coral that was covered that was just completely kind of like dull colored. So it was trying to raise awareness around that, and also have it be a participatory event where people could come and just be in the ocean and swim with everyone else. So that was the beginning part. That led to installation work with Made Here in Minneapolis. And I think there's just 2 slides maybe that are from the illuminated reef, maybe the second one also, yeah. So that's just a close-up of some of the lanterns. This is another thing. So after Made Here, I was engaged in other artwork with a similar group of people, and we were doing work for the art shanty projects. So we were thinking about different ways things could be participatory, and one of the things that we were thinking about a lot had been that there's, for one, this incredible, you know, um, journey that these monarchs make, monarch butterflies, from areas in North America and even up into Canada, all the way down into the Oyama Forest in Mexico. And so we had this idea about biking on the ice, which seems kind of wild, but it was a very exciting thing. So I was focusing on building these wings for these bikes, and many, many, many people involved in making this, obviously. And the beginning focus of it was also on pollinator plants. And so um, there were a lot of different people. Like I said, most of my art, I would say, tends to lean toward collaborative, because I feel like a lot of it is a big vision, and people, it takes so many different people to make that happen. And that's in community, and people coming to workshops and coming and just volunteering and putting, as we say sometimes, love hours into it, because you're like, we just really are passionate about this work. So this is just a picture of the pollinator shanty, or the monarch shanty. We did it 2 years in a row. And so, or not in a row, but like 2 years separately. I think it was 2018 and 2020. But there were a lot of different people that helped with this. And it was also a collaboration with the Minnesota Valley National Wildlife Refuge. And that worked out really well, because even though there's an, there's a good stipend for the art shanties, but it feels like with so many people involved, if it wasn't just a 1 or 2 person project, that we just needed a way to fund to support the actual materials. And so the wildlife refuge was able to help us with the materials for this project, so that the other money could go toward giving everyone a stipend for working on it, that worked on it a lot. All right, so then I guess yeah, that's a picture of the shanty as well from the outside, and it was a gorgeous mural. And luckily, we had a studio that a friend just happened to have, so we had warm space to work on it, because for sure paint is not so great, at like below 30 degrees. And so we, just like all these grateful kind of generous donations from people that were able to help and support that project. So anyways, yeah, there's all this other kinds of thing. And I guess this is getting up toward, so I did a lot of work in different can installations and different things with the same coral reef and all these other things. And then finally I was like, wow, I haven't done lanterns in a while. I would love to get back to that, but I would like to make larger scale lanterns. This one or 2 of these that you can see, or actually 3, but like the 2 that are on bikes, the axolotl was made by Sophia Padilla and also by Heather Hinrichsen, who are directors of Samia Arts, and I partnered with them on this project. Behind, or kind of adjacent to the axolotl, you can see another gorgeous alebrije bike puppet, and Gustavo Boada was the artist that we worked with and partnered with to learn about bike puppets, because Gustavo has been designing and making a fleet of alebrije bike puppets with community for, I think, the last probably 7 to 10 years. And so there's all these gorgeous bikes that have been created over time and are brought to community festivals. And so I had a hope to combine bike lanterns with bike puppets. And so the axolotl, and then there's another one after that. I think there's a turtle bike puppet that I created for that festival. And so we are, that was the forecast grant for this last year for mid-career for myself, because I've been working with lanterns for a long time, and I was trying to grow that practice in and working with public art and being out in community and creating celebrations in South Minneapolis. This is along the Greenway, and that's just a very active and lively place. And so it was a partnership between Venture Bike, which is a Black-owned bike shop on the Greenway, right by the Global Market, and we worked with the Midtown Greenway Coalition, and also, as I mentioned, Samia Healing and Arts. So those were the partners for that project. And it was the first time there was a lantern procession on the Greenway. So that was a very exciting event. And we just found out that we have some funding to do that again this year through the Lake Street Lift. So we're really excited to continue that work and in community. And part of that work is absolutely doing lantern workshops. So in addition to the bike lanterns, we were making lanterns. I think we had 6 workshops last year. It was like, we did actually work at Center School. One of the workshops was there. There was some at Global Market. There were a number of other locations along Lake Street that we were focusing on. And so this year, we're going to continue to expand that. And I think we're going for 10 workshops altogether. So it's going to be a little bit more involved with community. So yeah, so I'm excited for that next iteration, but I'm super grateful. And this is the last photo, and it was of Bare Bones this last fall at Powderhorn Park. And that was implementing some of that knowledge that I gained through that forecast grant, making bike puppets. And this is an extinct Atlantic gray whale, and that was for the Bare Bones this last fall in Powderhorn. And it has a hybrid of bike puppet and people puppeting it. So that's my just kind of update or quick. Yeah, I want to make sure there's time for questions.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing those slides. All right, we have about 10 minutes for questions right now. I already see one question in the chat. For those who don't know, what is spectacle art? And I think, Tara, that is a question for you.
Yeah, so I guess I would say, it would be sort of akin to like pageantry, puppet pageants that involves outdoor public work with bare bones, or also some people may have heard of Bread and Puppet before, or also I would say the May Day Parade has been that as well to some extent. But spectacle work, at least for bare bones, has happened sometimes in a park or in an open setting where people can just come, and it's sort of like a theatrical performance, but it's outside, and there are giant puppets involved, and there's tons and tons of people that help make that happen, because it's bigger. These big puppets sometimes take between, like 4 to 10 people to puppet, so it's a lot of work. So, but it's also the joy of that. I don't know, hopefully that explains a little bit.
Awesome, thank you. And again, attendees, if you have a question, please either drop it in the chat or drop it in the Q&A. We don't currently have any questions. Well, I'll ask a quick question of all of you. What is the art thing that you are most excited about, that is coming up for you in 2025? And I'm going to throw that to Hibaaq first.
Yeah, so my thing that I'm super excited about for 2025 is my first wood mural. Besides this forecast project, this is a commercial project, which is something I've been wanting to do for the past couple of years. So it's a half wood, half painted mural for a children's museum. And I've wanted to have something in a museum for a long time. So it's based on local flora and fauna of central Minnesota. It's going to be in St. Cloud. And that's an area I have a passion for rural arts. I feel like they don't have very many opportunities compared to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and the surrounding areas. So I'm doing a mural for the Children's Museum. It's called Great River Children's Museum, and it's a new venture for everyone involved, pretty much. The folks who are doing it have never done a museum before, and I'm hoping that it will lead to opportunities to do some sort of youth work around botanical art, which I've done in the rural areas. My in-laws are from the St. Cloud area, and so there's not a lot of artists of color in that area, and I have kind of a mission to bring that over there. There's a lot more people of color there now than there was when I went to college in St. Ben's, when it was honestly not a really great place to live as a person of color. It's gotten a lot better, and I want to be one of the people that contributes to that. There's a lot of folks of color from the city moving over there because it's cheaper. And so one of my kind of 5-year plans for my art career is to do more workshops and be more involved in the rural community. So this is like my first kind of in. So I'm super excited about that. And then I've got a couple of local youth groups over there that want me to do workshops with young people around mural making. So hopefully that will turn into something bigger.
That sounds great, and thanks for sharing all of that with us. Tara, what about you?
As I mentioned, one of the things I'm pretty excited about is getting a chance to build on the work that I worked with Samia Arts last year, and we did this lantern parade. And so I'm really thrilled that there's an opportunity to continue to do that work and to continue to grow that connection in community and participatory art on the Greenway and in South Minneapolis around Lake Street. So that's one of my more exciting things that I'm looking forward to. And then I'm also hoping to work on a sort of traveling puppet show, and that's another exciting thing. And so hoping that, some of all of that work connects, and it always seems to magically and amazingly interlace sometimes. So thank you.
Thank you. And go ahead, Thomasina.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a lot of projects, so I'll just go a little short term. I'm working on a project right now for McGizzy with the students there, and it is probably by far my most favorite mural I've done. And I can just show you super quick because it is hanging up in my studio. And please don't mind, I just cleaned out my car, so I have like my mural gear. But if you can see it, it's a youth designed mural. And so we have like the cities being overgrown, and then the spaceships are attacking the cities, and then we have water Pokemon, and an old mural by Robert Dujarle that's hanging up there now, but like kind of redone. But yeah, so that's what I'm really excited for right now, and I'm excited to get that hung up. And then we just decided today that we're gonna make spaceship sugar cookies for the kids for their mural unveiling. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
That's amazing. And I'm going to miss seeing that mural in the studio every day. It is so wildly good. I love it. Whimsy and joy. All right, we have time for one more question, but we don't have any questions in the chat, so I'm gonna ask one more question. So you guys are here because you received grants from Forecast, and in order to get that grant, you had to write an application. What is your 1-minute biggest tip for artists that are writing grant applications? And whoever is ready first can unmute and share.
I would say the biggest tip I have for folks is don't be afraid to reach out for advice, or if you have questions to people that know how to navigate or have done it before. You'd be surprised on how many people are willing just to like give you advice. And then also typing out everything in a Google Docs and getting everything spelled out, and stay away from chat, the AI stuff.
Phenomenal. Thank you. All right, Hibaaq or Tara.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, don't ever be afraid to ask for help. This is the first grant that I got, and I had help from people who had many grant successes before. I don't claim to know what I'm doing, not at all. And so, yeah, talking to people in the community, I feel like is really important. So I'm just going to reiterate what Thomasina said.
Thank you. And I want to point out too, you can reach out to the grant manager of these grants at Forecast, and they will help you. So reach out early to the grant manager with any questions that you have. Go ahead, Tara.
Yes, I would say I just want to reiterate that that's so important. I remember going into a workshop that was hosted by one of the members from Forecast and just brought in my idea and had a chat with them. And it really influenced and really helped me in the process of applying for this grant. I would also just say documenting documenting your work, trying to continue to take those pictures so that you have some work samples, because it's really hard to pull that together at the last minute. And so in your, like in your time, if you have that, to just continue to do that, and also like update CV and just keep your, like keep that work, keep a record of it so that you have a way to reference that when you're writing a grant and trying to tell what you've been doing the last year or two in the work that you do. Those are all really helpful things that aren't always the most exciting, but I think they really help.
Really great advice. Thank you so much. All right, and we are at the end of our time today. Thank you to our panelists. You guys have been amazing. Thank you for everything that you've shared today. And to a reminder that this session was recorded, and so all of our attendees, you can find it. I believe it'll be on our YouTube channel, and you can watch it again if there is something that you missed or you just want to enjoy it again. So again, thank you, and everybody have a good evening. Bye.